Deep within the wasteland lives the young Furiosa, who is taken from her home and brought into the Great Biker Horde, a biker gang ran by the warlord Dementis. Dementis travels the wasteland with Furiosa imprisoned, but in the middle of all of that, he learns of a citadel ruled by the one and only Immortan Joe. Dementis and Immortan Joe begin to butt heads, but throughout the years-long war, Furiosa only has two things in mind: getting revenge on Dementis and getting home. This is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is the latest film in the Mad Max franchise. I know I didn't need to tell you that because the title of the film already tells you that in the most obtuse and unpleasant way imaginable. I call them franchise reminders because for some reason you can't just have a standalone movie in a franchise anymore. Other examples include a Star Wars story, Fast and Furious Presents, From the Book of Saw, and A Knives Out Mystery. I like two of those movies, but I don't particularly like that titling structure. That all aside, this review right here is a very special review. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is going to be my 100th review, which has been something that has been a long time coming. Oh, what a day! What a lovely day! I should have not sprayed it in my nose. Oh, it got in my eye. Oh, it got in my eye. This did not go as well as I planned. Oh my god. I've always wanted to find an excuse to do that, but in hindsight, I don't really think it was worth it. It's not as silver as I'd like. It looks like it's... And my lips burn now. Thank you all for 100 reviews. Back to the review. Now, Mad Max Fury Road is a masterpiece of a movie. Getting to see that film in theaters blew my little 15-year-old mind. And one of the biggest standouts in the film was Furiosa, played by Charlize Theron. And it only took 9 years for Furiosa to get her own standalone film. Compare that to some other great female characters like Black Widow. It took her 10 years plus 1 to get it actually released. Hey, at least we're doing better. But how does Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, measure up to the iconicness that was Fury Road? This is a great prequel for a great character. Although it may not be on the same level as Fury Road, it didn't need to be, in my opinion. This film is a lot more story-driven than Fury Road, which is for the better. This film is a complementary piece to Fury Road in every sense of the word. It almost has a brain and brawn kind of feel, this film being the brain and Fury Road being the brawn. Playing Furiosa in this film is Anya Taylor-Joy, and I think she does an absolutely phenomenal job. There are plenty of moments in this film where I'm willing to say she is better than Charlize Theron, who was already great, may I add you. Furiosa was a standout character in Fury Road, so giving her her own story only made sense. And I absolutely love the story they give to her, and again, Anya Taylor-Joy is fantastic. But what is a great revenge movie with a great lead heroine without a great villain to get revenge on? A pretty boring movie, actually, but luckily that's not the case here. In this film, we have Lord Dementis, played by the one and only Chris Hemsworth. He may be known as the God of Thunder in one universe, but here, he's the God Down Under. How did I make 100 of these? My terrible puns and potential cultural appropriation aside, Chris Hemsworth is fantastic in this film. Dementis is a phenomenal villain for Furiosa, and Hemsworth is having the time of his life playing this character. There are plenty of moments where this is a villain performance like no other. He's funny and crazy, but at the same time, I absolutely would not want to mess with him. But to be fair, I don't think I would want to mess with Chris Hemsworth anyway. Do you know how strong he is? Like, he literally carried the 2016 Ghostbusters film on his back. There aren't many actors who I think could do that. But between Anya Taylor-Joy's Furiosa and Chris Hemsworth Dementis, you have a great hero and villain for this film. Now, this film is a lot different from Fury Road, and I mean a lot different. Some may classify this as a slow burn, but that more than works for Furiosa's story. Outside of Fury Road, Furiosa is a character who doesn't have much lore, so I can understand them wanting to spend as much time on that as possible. Then there are some scenes with Dementis and Immortan Joe that get a bit too heavy-handed with resource negotiations, and in some instances the film can really slow down to a halt, but luckily Chris Hemsworth is there to really liven up the scenes. And I'm just lucky that the resources they're talking about actually make sense to me. Water, bullets, gasoline, or breast milk. Okay, maybe not that one. The resource they're after isn't some generic spice. Look, I like Dune, I really do, but I do not give a shit about the spice trade and the spice farms and anything spice related in those movies. Luckily, that's not relevant to the whole movie at hand, like, at all. But man, does it feel like it. And again, I like Dune, and I like that too. I named her Chani. But I definitely enjoyed this one a whole lot more at face value for the story. The thing that made Fury Road as iconic as it was were the action scenes. Or should I say scene, because that was like the whole movie almost. I don't know. And the action scenes in this film are top-notch too. The film isn't one long action scene this time, as awesome as that was. It's multiple action scenes throughout the 2-hour-plus runtime. And they're all great. The practical effects look great, the explosions look great, but the green screen in some instances does not. I say this with full confidence. If this was an MCU movie, we would not hear the end about how bad this green screen looked. Luckily, there's only a few instances where I'm like, okay, what college campus sound room are you using? But man, is it noticeable. The film at its core, though, is really only about the title character, Furiosa. Go figure. It's her story that carries the film, and the film rocks because of it. Although Dementis and Immortan Joe do have a pretty sizable side plot throughout this film. There are some instances in this film where it feels like Furiosa was in the position Max was in Fury Road, and Dementis was in the position Furiosa was in Fury Road. If that makes a lick of sense at all. It's one of those things that sounded better in my head, but my words didn't good enough to make it sound smartly. But Furiosa's journey for revenge is gripping, and alongside it is one of my favorite villain performances I've seen in a good while. And on top of that, there's some solid action and world building. This is definitely a film worth traversing the wasteland to see. That means see it. Because holy shit did this movie bomb. Is it because of Space Jam? Because I'll be honest, the scene with Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner is the best scene in that movie. That's the only part of that movie that is remotely funny. I hope you all enjoyed this review. And if you did, please consider hitting that like button. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to be notified when my next review drops. Until next time, I'm Quint Dunaway. And thank you all for 100 episodes. Here's to 100 more. And I'm hoping you all will keep it cinematic.